All right, so in this lesson, we're going to be talking about how to set up actual indicators that we'll be using on a regular basis in TradingView, right? So when you typically look at charts, there's going to be individuals and different traders who have a bunch of indicators everywhere on every single time frame. The difference with me is that I'm very minimalistic. I like to have maybe one, maybe two, maybe three indicators on my charts. I don't use many of them. And in the next few lessons later on in this masterclass, we'll talk more about indicators. But for now, let me show you how to set up the indicators that we will be using when we analyze charts here in TradingView. And it's very simple, right? Again, here I have my intraday chart layout. So this is the 4-hour chart, the 1-hour chart on the bottom, and the 5-minute chart on the top right, right? So this is my intraday, my lower time frame layout, okay? And to set up indicators, let's just go to this 4-hour time frame, and you will see indicators on the top right here as an option. So I select indicators, and the first indicator that I'm going to put in is my exponential moving average, right? So if you type in moving average, the one that will come up is the moving average exponential, right? You can star that if you like. I have it starred as a favorite, but that is the moving average, the one indicator that we will be utilizing every single time, right? The moving average exponential, right? So let's customize it a little bit. So here it is on the chart. All of a sudden now we have this red, or I guess in this case an orange line. Let's change it up a little bit. So if you double click it, I will change this to a nice deep red. I like my 50 EMA to be a red color. That's typically the standard for a 50 moving average. I'll explain in the next lesson what a 50 moving average actually is. But when we go to the inputs, right now the length is 13. I personally need the length to be 50 for this one, okay? So the length is 50. The source is close and the offset is 0, nothing changes there. And again, the style, I will just make this line red. If you want it a little bit thicker, we can make it a tiny bit thicker, and in order to do that, we do it right there, okay? The thickness of the line. So that's the 50 moving average. Now, I want this on every single one of my time frames, so on every single one of my charts. So I'm just gonna click on it, copy it, so Command C, or you can right click and you can copy and then paste. Command V, paste it on the 1-hour time frame and paste it on the 5-minute time frame. Okay, so the 50 EMA is something that we're going to be utilizing all the time on the lower time frames. Every single day, every single time we analyze a chart, every strategy that we utilize, we'll be utilizing the 50 exponential moving average, or the short form is EMA. Okay, so that's the first indicator to set up. The second indicator that we will be using on a regular basis is called MACD, right? So if you go back to indicators and you type in MACD, so that's MACD, right away, the MACD indicator comes up, and we're just going to select that. And it populates here on the chart. We can make this larger if we wish. Let's just make it larger for now. And there's a lot going on within this MACD indicator. The one thing that I notice with indicators is that there's a lot of unnecessary information, right? And with that, specifically with MACD, I want to clean it up a little bit. So let's double click on it and remove a few things. We don't need the histogram, okay? When it comes to the masterclass strategies and the way I analyze charts and so on, the histogram is part of this indicator that I will never use. So I personally just remove it. The other part of this indicator that I will not be utilizing is the signal line. Now, sometimes you might want to play around with it. Personally, I never use it, right? So I like my charts to be minimalistic, so I will be removing the signal line. And all we have left is the blue MACD line. When we go to inputs, nothing changes here, everything stays as is, right? So we can make this, save it as default if we wish. Let's just do that and then click OK. And now we have our MACD indicator. Now this MACD indicator, again, we're going to copy it. I'm going to put it on the 1-hour chart as well, the 60-minute chart. There we go. I'll just make it smaller. It doesn't have to. And this MACD indicator is just one small part of the analysis, so it doesn't really have to take up your entire chart. You can just make it nice and small. And again, in the following lessons, we'll talk more about indicators, and I'll show you why, I'll tell you exactly why I use MACD and how it's supposed to be used and so on. So we'll dig into that later in the lessons. Right now, this is just how to use TradingView and how to actually set up the different indicators. Now let's go to the 5-minute chart here, because the MACD indicator, I will not be using it on a 5-minute chart. So I'll be using a different one. So if we go to indicators and type in volume, is this first one that comes up is just straight up volume. Click it. And here we have the volume indicator. I like to use the volume indicator only on the 5-minute chart to see exactly where there has been a spike and why there has been a spike in price. And it's typically because there was a spike in volume. So we'll talk again much more into the volume indicator later on. But for now, let's customize it a little bit. So if we double click it again, nothing changes with the inputs. The only thing is I don't like the color theme. So I'm picky. I'm just gonna play around with the colors here a little bit. So the green, I might change it to something that's a little bit not so in your face, and bring the opacity down a little bit to maybe 65. Again, play around with this. Choose the colors that you wish to utilize on a regular basis. Maybe you can even go gray if you want. You know, it's very simple. So let's just pick gray for this. And then the red, let's just change it, make it a little bit brighter maybe, and bring the opacity down a tiny bit. And now we have the volume. I'm actually going to change the gray into green. I don't like the way the gray looks. And that's it. And I mean, play around with this till you find a color theme that kind of works for you. I'm still not 100% happy with this one, but let's see if I can change a little bit, maybe a little bit brighter. Yeah, there we go. That looks a little bit better. So that's it. That's it for the intraday charts. These are the only indicators that I will be utilizing on the lower time frames. So on the 4-hour chart, it's the 50 EMA, so the 50 moving average, and that is this red line. On a 1-hour chart, and sorry, on the 4-hour chart, we're also going to be using MACD, which is this blue line on the bottom. On a 1-hour chart, it's the same thing. We're going to be utilizing the 1-hour 50 EMA and the MACD indicator, which is again visible here on the 1-hour chart. And on the 5-minute time frame, which is this top right, we will be utilizing the 50 EMA. So again, the 50 exponential moving average, which is the red line, and the volume indicator. That's it for indicators on the lower time frames. When we go to the higher time frames, let's go back to the charts here. When we go to the higher time frame layout, so the layout where I have again my monthly, my daily, and my weekly, I want to set it up the same way. So with that, let's go back to the indicators on a monthly chart and type in moving average. And let's set up our exponential moving average here. It's gonna be again color red. It's the same as before. Change the thickness a little bit so it's more visible, and change the input to 50. Okay, and now we have our 50 exponential moving average set up. I'm gonna copy it, paste it on a daily, and paste it on the weekly. So now I have the 50 exponential moving average on all my time frames, all the way from the 4-hour, 1-hour to the 5-minute, and the monthly, weekly, and daily. Another thing that I want here is MACD. So I will be utilizing MACD on the higher time frames, and there it is. We already have it saved as a preset. So put it on the monthly chart, put it on the daily chart, and paste it on the weekly chart as well. Make it smaller for yourself. And now we pretty much have the two indicators that we have on the lower time frames, the 50 EMA and MACD. The only difference is volume. We are not going to be using volume indicator on the higher time frames. It's unnecessary. But there's one other indicator, and that is the 20 exponential moving average, right? So let's duplicate this red EMA, okay? And you can just copy it and paste it all on the same time frame. And now we're gonna have to double click one and change the length to 20, right? And now it's gonna look a little bit different. So change the color as well to blue. That is typically the standard for an exponential moving average. So for the 20 exponential moving average, blue is typically the standard, whereas red is the standard for the 50 exponential moving average. So I'll just choose a nice blue color here, and I'm gonna copy it, paste it on a daily, paste it on a weekly, and that's it when it comes to indicators. Now on the higher time frames, I have my monthly. On the monthly, I have the 50 EMA, the 20 EMA, and MACD. On a daily, I have the exact same thing, the 50 EMA, the 20 EMA, and MACD. And on the weekly, I have again the 50 EMA, the 20 EMA, and MACD. So play around with the thickness of the lines, play around with the colors of the lines to make them your own. Make sure you like the way they look, because you will be looking at this every single day for hours, every single day, you know. So make sure that your charts are clean and you really like how they look and you really like the colors. But that's it for the indicator lessons, guys. That's everything, all the indicators that we will be utilizing from the higher time frames to the lower time frames. It's simple. There's just 4 of them. You know, we have the 50 EMA, we have the 20 EMA, we have MACD, and we have volume. That is it when it comes to indicators and how to set them up on TradingView. Later in this masterclass, I'll actually explain the purpose of those indicators and how to use them. But for now, when it comes to setup, that is it. I'll see you guys in the next lesson.